Okay, well, welcome everybody to today's webinar. Welcome everybody. Good morning or maybe good afternoon, depending on where you are. What we're going to be going over today is Aplos products, features, and prices. And my name is Alex. I'm the head of support here at Aplos, and I'm going to be taking you through this content here today. I'm going to go over products, features, and prices. So what are our products, what are their features, and how much do they cost you? And also, how do they work together to be able to best suit your nonprofit? As I go through this, if you have any questions, feel free to submit those in the GoToWebinar control panel, and I will do my best to answer everything at the end. And they can be about anything, about today or about how to use Aplos, anything you want. All right. So the reason you're here is because you've heard about Aplos somehow. You're either a customer of ours or trying out a free trial, or you've just been to the website, but all of you have been to the website at one point or another. And this is the homepage right here. And really kind of as a high-level snapshot, what we do is provide online nonprofit software. And right now, this looks like these three products right here. We have fund accounting, which is what every nonprofit needs, being able to keep track of your finances, your income and your expenses, your asset balances, your liabilities, your funds. And what makes us unique in that is we do fund accounting, which basically means as you track your finances for your nonprofit, you're not only tracking how much money you have and what's passing through as the organization as a whole, but how much money do you have set aside and what's coming in and out for each one of your particular funds. Let me give you a quick example. Let's say you and your nonprofit have a bank account. Okay, so you have a bank account, you've got $1,000 in it, and you apply for a grant, and you're now awarded some money that you then deposit into your checking account. So your checking account has gone up significantly, but you need to know that a portion of that money is kind of set aside or designated for a particular purpose. That is a fund. So in our system, you would be able to create and set up those funds and manage them all side by side in one system so that at any given time, you can see how much money you've spent, received, how much you owe, how much you have, and what's the overall worth of all of your funds. Now, with that comes a lot of other kind of bonus functionality, which we'll go through a little bit later on, but that's our fund accounting product right there. And then to the left, we also have donations. Now, donations is a little bit, it's changed in the past couple of days. It used to be called donor management, which was primarily just online donations and some contribution entry. And what we've done in the past week or so is upgraded this product to be way more kind of stand on its own in terms of functionality. So what donations does is allows you to receive online donations. So you set up a free WePay account. We've partnered with WePay, who's a PayPal comparison kind of processing company. We've partnered with them. So you create up a free WePay account. You then create an online form that people can go to and donate to your organization. And literally within 2 or 3 minutes, you could have a working website, multiple forms, and be able to start receiving online donations for your organization. It's super quick. What else comes with this is we also have a contributions management type tier in the pricing, which we'll cover a little bit later, that allows you to manually enter donations as well. So outside of anything received online, if you're sitting there keying stuff in, you can do that as well. You can also manage reoccurring schedules, generate contribution statements, and much, much more. This also introduces what we call purposes, and a purpose is a way that you receive money in Aplos through donations. So like over here where you have a fund and you're going to create income accounts, donations is completely separate than that. So in donations, you'll set up a purpose and receive money for that purpose. And if you were to use these two systems together, you can link a purpose and donations with an account and a fund in accounting so that they can talk to each other whenever you enter or receive a donation. So all that to say, they're two separate products, can be used independently, but together they are pretty cool. So that's donations. Lastly, we have IRS e-file software. We are IRS e-file providers for the Form 990 series. And for a nonprofit, that's your annual tax return, which kind of boils down into 3 different forms. You've got the 990N, which is for any nonprofit that makes less than $50,000 in a year. You've got your 990EZ, which is anywhere from $50,000 to $200,000 in a year. And then your full form 990 is for anybody that's 200 plus thousand per year. We can e-file. You go through this whole kind of wizard thing and put in all your information, and we can e-file for you for the form 990N and EZ, which are those first 2 forms. But if you need to do the full form, we don't currently have an e-file system for that just yet, but it is something we're hoping to do down the road. So those are our three products: fund accounting, donations, and e-file. Okay. And for any one of these that you're interested in, you can start a 15-day free trial, which is completely non-committal. We're not looking to grab your credit card or stick you in there anyway. We literally want you to get in there, get your feet wet, play around with the functionality, and see if it's something that's right for your nonprofit. Because again, we're providing the software for you guys. We enjoy what we do, and at the end of the day, we really want the nonprofits that are our customers to feel enabled, equipped, and confident when managing their donations, accounting, and e-filings with the IRS. So jump into a free trial, and once you do, you're going to land here, which is the dashboard. Now, this is an accounting free trial, but I'll show you where to manage those products here. And once you land on the dashboard in the software, then on the left-hand side is where you can navigate to the other kind of areas of the software. So your dashboard is where you're going to see kind of a high-level snapshot of all the stuff that's going on in your account. So your fund balances, your asset balances, your donation information. As you begin to have information entered here, it's going to become a lot more helpful. Right now, there's nothing in here, so it's kind of blank. And then on the left-hand side, you can scroll through to the different areas. Settings is where you would literally just enter your organization name and your address and phone number, all that kind of system information. This is also where you can add additional users, so you can add functionality. You can add access for different people that need to jump into your account. And you can also manage your subscription. So here's where we get into prices. You can also find this information on our website, but once you're in a free trial, by going to settings and then subscription, you can see what your pricing breakdown will be. Now, for the accounting product, we have 2 tiers of pricing, and it's basically boils down to how many users you have. So for one user, that is $15 per month for all of the accounting product and all of its functionality. And then if you want 2 or multiple users, it goes to $25 per month. And that's as easy as just adding another user. Your price will automatically adjust to the higher bracket. Or if you disable users back down to 1, you'll be adjusted back down automatically. So that's just kind of dependent on how many users you have. Also, if you wanted to turn accounting on or off, you can. Just toggle that button right there. And then moving down, we have donations. Now, donations has 3 different tiers. Okay, the first tier is free. I said it, it's free. There's no monthly cost for Aplos for the beginning tier of donations. Now, what this beginning tier gets you is online donation functionality. So you won't be able to manually enter statements or print giving statements. But if you wanted to set up an online donations account and be able to start receiving money to your organization, that is of no cost to you. The only cost that goes along with that are the transaction rates that WePay charges for credit card and ACH processing. Now, these are set at 4%, but if you are a 501c3 or a church organization, then you can opt into our lower rate, which is 3% for credit cards and 2% for ACH or bank draft transactions. Okay, so that's that first tier of donations. It's free, gets you online donations. The only thing you pay are transaction rates, which actually get applied as you receive the donation, so you really don't pay anything out of pocket. You just get the net between your donation and the fee. Hope that makes sense. The middle tier here goes to $15 per month, and what that gets you, as you can see, is contributions management. Now, contributions management is what I was mentioning a little earlier on, and that is being able to manually enter donations, generate contribution statements, and manage reoccurring schedules for your online donations. So that functionality goes to $15 per month, and you can just click that right there if you wanted to move up that tier. And what that does is it adds functionality into your donations area there. And then we do have a third tier of donations if you decide to jump up to it. The functionality stays the same, but what it does is it decreases the transaction rate that you have through WePay. Now, where that becomes significant is if you're using Aplos and you're receiving a lot of money through online donations, it might be beneficial for you to jump up to this tier and lower your transaction rate so that you'd be paying more per month, but the amount of money that you're saving in transaction fees is actually saving you money. I forget what the exact dollar amount that you would need to receive per month to make that worth it. If you'd like that, I can provide it to you. You can find that out. But once you figure that out, and if that's something you want to jump up to, feel free. Just click that, that'll lower your transaction rate automatically, increase your Aplos invoice, and you can go from there. So let's scale back down. Lastly, we do have this little file box thing here, which is currently just kind of here as a placeholder. This is still some functionality that we're building out. But what this will look like is you can buy increased storage for your Aplos account, because we're going to introduce some features coming down the road of you being able to attach files and images and receipts and things to transactions, donations, invoices, all that kind of stuff. So as you do that, you're actually going to be using some storage space. And so there's going to be some opportunities there for you to increase the amount of storage that you can use in Aplos. Okay. So that was your subscription there in the settings section. You also have an activity log where you can see who's logged in and done what. And then moving down, you've got your contacts. Now your contacts is your kind of big people database, address book type area. And you can add a new contact in here or edit an existing. So there I am. I can click on myself. And I can click on emails, phone, address, date. I can add custom fields. I can have groups. So you can manage a lot of information for your contacts right from this screen, as well as see any transactions that have been associated with that particular contact. Moving down, we have reports. And reports is a universal area of Aplos, because no matter what product you have, you're going to have some reports. In the accounting product, you have a lot of different reports. You've got an income statement, a balance sheet, account list, transaction list, and all of these you can click on and add your logo and customize them with additional columns or report modifiers or date ranges. You can really make these reports be whatever you need them to be. And just kind of as a preface, reporting is kind of an endless black hole of functionality and feature and preference requests from our customers. And so I want to let you know that we are always working on our reports section, because each customer that we have says, you've got this, and I'd like to see this, that, and the other thing, or this, whatever. That is all functionality that we are just gleaning from you guys and will do something for down the road. So if you have any suggestions on custom reports or anything, feel free to let us know, and we'd be happy to jump that into the software at some point. So that's reports. And then below these kind of areas, which settings, contacts, and reports are kind of the global areas of Aplos, no matter what product you use. It's going to get a little bit more specific per product, as you can see. So you've got accounting, donations, e-file, and then donor relations is a product that we're planning to release by the end of the year, which will allow you to email from the system and keep better tabs on your relations between your donors. So for any one of the products that you use, excuse me, just click on the product, and it's going to bring up a little sub menu here to where you can do a little bit more functionality. So in the accounting, you have advanced settings, accounts, and transactions. Excuse me. In advanced settings is where you can turn on what functionality you need from your accounting product. Now, we start you with a register, a chart of accounts, reporting, journal entry. So you can do a lot just kind of with the basic suite that we give you when you jump in there. But if you need to add functionality, this is all free, and it's all just depending on what you need. So currently, the different apps that you can turn on here are accounts payable, accounts receivable, bank integration, bank reconciliation, budgeting, and check printing. And if you need to see some more information about these, just scroll over the little icon there. It'll give you a couple of bullet points. And again, these are free, so don't hesitate to turn these on if you need them. So all you would do is just click show, and that will then add them to your particular section here. Really, budgeting is in the accounts section, and everything else you're going to see here becomes available in the transactions section. So now that we've got those turned on, let's go to accounts. And accounts is where you can manage your chart of accounts in your accounting product. So you can scroll through here and you can get some more information about what accounts we set you up with automatically. You can create new accounts, you can create account groups, you can move stuff around, renumber, restructure. Down the road this month, we're going to have a more specific webinar that goes through how to create a chart of accounts and do this kind of stuff. So feel free to tune into that if you'd like. But just so that you know where it is, this is where you would manage those accounts. And then up at the top, we have some other navigation here, one of which is tags. So tags is three different little features that you can turn on if you need them. And what this does is it allows you to track 1099 tags. So if you're tracking vendors and how much you need to track for their 1099 payments at the end of the year, you can turn those on. You can also enable custom tags, which adds a field to your transactions for you to kind of further classify what's happening. So when you enter, let's say I went to the store and I bought some office supply or some supplies for my missions fund. I would select my supplies expense account, my missions fund, and then you can have a custom tag, which would be like my harvest fundraiser or something. So you would create those custom tags, tag that transaction, and then when you go to your reports, you can run an income statement per tag to be able to see how profitable this particular event or custom tag was. And then lastly, we have 990 tags. So if you do need to file the full form 990 series form, then you can enable these 990 tags, and then per transaction that you enter, you would select the applicable 990 tag. So then at the end of the year, you would just go to reports, click form 990 report, and then because you've been entering this information all year long with the 990s tags, then it'll just kind of automatically populate that report for you, so you can use that when filing your return. So that's tags. Moving to the right, we have starting balances, which is where you would enter basically the amount of money that you're coming into Aplos with. So if we wanted to start using and tracking transactions in Aplos as of October 1st, then what you would do is find out how much money you had on October 1st, enter those values for your asset and liability accounts per fund, and then click update. And then that will give you kind of a starting place so that now every transaction that you enter either adds to or takes away from that starting balance. And then lastly, we have budgeting, which again is one of those advanced settings that you can turn on, which will allow you to set values for your income and your expense accounts for your fiscal year. And those are kind of your projected earnings or expenditures for the year. Once you have your budget set, you can add that information to a report to be able to see how you're doing compared with how you thought you would be doing this year. So that's your account section. Transactions is where you would actually enter the happenings that are going on for your organization. So once you have the accounts set up, you then use those accounts when recording transactions. And you've got a couple different screens to do this in. One is registers, which is where you can actually track the individual transactions and the ongoing balance for your bank accounts as well as your credit cards. Basically anything you mark as a register account will be in here. You've also got journal entry, which is where you will find your standard double entry accounting screen. So if you're old school and you like doing debits and credits, have a nut, go for it here. Otherwise, this is typically reserved for any kind of non-cash transaction. If you took out a loan and you bought a building or something, that really doesn't pass through your bank account very much. It's kind of gaining an asset and accruing a liability. So that kind of stuff you can enter here in the journal entry screen. But again, if you're more comfortable here, feel free to stay. And then we also have accounts payable and receivable, which are two of those advanced settings. And accounts payable is where you would basically enter a bill that you owe. So it's an expense that you've accrued, but just haven't paid yet. I like to call it and think of it as a middleman for these kind of transactions. So it's money you owe, but haven't paid yet. So this screen would allow you to enter those bills, track these bills and what their payment schedules are, and then you can incrementally pay those as needed. And then you have accounts receivable, which is kind of the flip side of accounts payable. This is money that is owed to you that you just haven't received yet. So you create an invoice, you send it to somebody, that's income that's going to come to you, but you just haven't gotten the money yet. That's where you can create those invoices and manage those receipts. Okay. And then back in the register section is also where you'll find bank integration. So being able to set up and link your bank to Aplos to be able to download transactions automatically. Keep in mind that once you do that, you'll still need to assign each transaction an account and then click import to bring them into your register. And then once you do, you can go through and do a bank reconciliation, which is another advanced setting. And this basically ensures that the information in Aplos is accurate when compared with your bank statement. And then lastly, we have check printing. So if you're writing a bunch of payments and checks to people and you don't want to handwrite everything, then you can purchase some checks and use check printing to generate the PDF that would then be printed on those checks to save you a little bit of time. All right. And that's really kind of accounting in a very high level nutshell. You've got your advanced settings where you can turn on and off functionality. You've got accounts where you can set up your chart of accounts, manage tags, enter starting balances, and set up a budget. And then you have transactions where you can enter transactions, whatever those may be. And then all of that kind of boils down into your reports, which again is up here. Now, moving on to donations. When you click donations, you've got these kind of sub items in your menu here. The first is purposes. Now, again, think of accounting and donations as two completely separate products. Now, they do integrate. We're gonna touch on that, but just for now, for my sake, just think of them as two completely different products for a second. So donations, standalone. Let's say you're only using donations in Aplos and you want to start entering contributions, you want to receive money online. So what's the first step? Well, we want to know how and why you're receiving this money, and you do too. So if you're going to receive an online donation, most likely those people are donating to something, right? So they're donating to your organization, but why? Is it for a general purpose? Is it for a missions fund? Is it for a fundraiser that you're doing? Is it for a missionary that you're supporting? Is it for a building campaign? What are they giving to that is significant? All of those things are going to be a purpose that you want to set up. So what you do is click Create New, and let's say I just want to create a general one for now, general fund. I can add a description in here, money for admin purposes, okay? And then you would click Save. Now what that does is it creates this purpose now, and so when you enter contributions manually, keying stuff in, or when you create an online form and start receiving stuff online, this is now something that people can either choose or be defaulted to give to, okay? You can also create as many of these as you want. So let's say I want to create a missions fund purpose, okay? And click Save, and also a building fund purpose, okay? Now, again, this is completely separate from the accounting. So if you just have donations, these are now the avenues that you can now start receiving or recording money, okay? So if you use donations and accounting, where do these purposes come in with that? That's a great question. So let's say you've got purposes, right? You've been receiving money, you've got these set up. So now how do they tie into the accounting? Well, the significance behind this is purposes don't have to link to accounting. So if you want to be able to have kind of a separate record of what's going on in your accounting and what's happening with donations, you can. However, if you wanted to link any one of these purposes to your accounting, all you would do is either create a new one or click on one of these. And if you have accounting turned on, you're going to have this option to link a purpose to an income account and a fund, okay? So let's say I wanted to link this to my contributions income account and my general fund. I'm going to go ahead and click Save. And now there's going to be that little kind of chain link icon there. And what that means is now every time I use that purpose, it's not only going to record the donations and keep those details up to date, but it's also going to post a transaction in my accounting records so that my accounting balances go up, everything's consistent, and I don't have to enter two separate transactions. All right? That's a lot, and I get that that's a little confusing, especially if you guys have been with us for a while. This is a completely new way of us doing this, but I promise that it will make sense as you begin using it. So that's how you're going to link a purpose to accounting. Moving down the line here, we have online forms, which is where you can create your free WePay account and then begin setting up and customizing your online donation forms. I think next week we're actually going to be doing a kind of more in-depth version of this, so feel free to tune into that, or if you'd like, I can provide the recorded version of it to you later. But for now, I'm going to kind of skip over it because it is quite detailed. And then we have contributions. So again, remember back to the donations tier pricing, we've got that free product, which is just the purposes and online forms. And then that middle tier is the ability to manage reoccurring schedules, generate contribution statements and reports, and manually enter donations, okay? So this is that contributions area here. You can start a new entry. You can also see previous entries, and you can lock that down if you'd like so it doesn't jump out at you every time. And all you would do here is enter the date and the name of whatever kind of batch of donations that you're entering there. And then you would enter the details, you'd enter the donor, you'd pick what purpose they're donating to, and then what amount, and then you would click Post. Now what that does is it saves that information. That amount gets linked to that person in your account, so then you can go to Reports and see a contribution report and generate statements and do whatever else you need to do. Also notice that because we have some of these linked to accounting, there's also this section right here of which bank account are you depositing this into. So if you're using accounting and donations, again, this is basically asking you, one of your purposes is linked to your accounting. So if we're going to post this transaction, where do you want us to post it? So this is where you would pick, I want this to go into my checking account. Okay. And then whatever you record here, whatever uses those linked purposes, will then get posted as a transaction for you in your accounting. And that is contribution entry. Moving down the line, we have donor relations, which again is coming soon. Probably by the end of the year, we'll have this out for you. So keep your ears open for that. And then we also have e-file. So if you need to start one of those filings, you can just click Start a New Filing. That'll ask you what form you want to file. You can also see which ones you have in progress, so which ones you've started, just haven't finished yet. And then you can also view your history. So if you have a history of filed returns with us, you can see and print copies of those here. And you can also collapse this menu if you want. Okay, well, today has been a very high-level overview of Aplos as a whole. What we've gone over today is Aplos accounting, Aplos donations, and Aplos e-file. And if you want to see some more information about those and their pricing, all you would do is go to aplos.com, click on what product you want to see more about, and then that will give you the information regarding their pricing and how to get started. You can also go into settings and then click on subscription if you have an account with us, and that's where you can kind of see and manage what your monthly subscription rate will be. So that's the high level overview. Now, what I'd like to do is open it up for some Q&A time. I noticed a lot of questions coming through from a couple of you. So what I'm going to do is mute myself for a couple of minutes and see what you guys have for me here. Now, for those of you who have joined us or those of you who haven't found this yet, in your GoToWebinar control panel, there is a question field where you can type something in and send it to me, and that's where you're going to do some questions. So anything that you want to hear more about, feel free to shoot that through. I will be back in a few minutes, and we will go ahead and get you some answers. Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started.